Have you ever looked at a classic Mustang and thought you knew everything about it? Well, what if I told you that one of the most famous movie cars of all time wasn't even what it claimed to be? The 1967 Shelby GT500 Eleanor from Gone in 60 Seconds is surrounded by myths, lawsuits, and secrets that most car enthusiasts have never heard about. Today we're counting down 20 weird facts about this automotive icon that will completely change how you see this legendary machine. And trust me, some of these revelations are going to blow your mind. If you enjoy discovering the hidden truths behind Hollywood's most famous cars, hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. Number 20. The Eleanor name is actually a character, not just a car. Here's something that'll mess with your head. Eleanor isn't just a nickname for the car, it's literally a character in the film. Nicolas Cage's character, Memphis Reigns, treats Eleanor like she's alive. He talks to her. He has a relationship with her. And this isn't just movie magic, it became a legal nightmare. The name Eleanor became so tied to the character car concept that it transcended being just a model designation. When people started building Eleanor replicas, they weren't just copying a car design, they were recreating a copyrighted character. Think about that for a second. A car with intellectual property rights. This bizarre situation led to countless legal battles that continue to this day. The copyright holders have sued replica builders, car shops, and even YouTube channels for using the Eleanor name without permission. It's gotten so complicated that some builders now call their replicas Gone in 60 Seconds Mustangs just to avoid the legal mess. The whole thing raises a weird philosophical question. Can a car be a character? According to US copyright law, apparently, yes. Number 19. None of the movie cars were real Shelbys. This one's going to hurt some purists. Those beautiful machines you saw tearing through the streets of Long Beach, not a single genuine Shelby among them. They started life as regular 1967 Mustang fastbacks, basic models. Some even had leaky 289 engines. Cinema Vehicle Services basically performed automotive identity theft on a massive scale. They took ordinary Mustangs and dressed them up as Shelby GT500s. But here's where it gets interesting. They didn't even try to make them authentic Shelbys underneath. They went in a completely different direction. The modifications were so extensive that these cars became something entirely new, something that never existed in Carroll Shelby's workshop. The irony, these fake Shelbys are now worth more than many real ones. One sold for $852,500 in 2020. That's more than most genuine 67 GT500s. It's like finding out your favorite designer handbag is a knockoff, but the knockoff is somehow more valuable than the original. Number 18. Chip Foose designed the body kit that fooled everyone. The man behind Eleanor's iconic look, Chip Foose, yes, that Chip Foose, the overhauling guy. Before he was a TV star, he was crafting movie magic. Working with concept input from Steve Stanford, Foose created every custom element that makes Eleanor instantly recognizable. The aggressive front grille, the bulging hood, those flared fenders that scream power, the low-riding side skirts, even those distinctive side exit exhausts, all Foose. But here's the weird part. Many of these modifications were purely cosmetic, those badass side exhausts, often not functional. The aggressive hood scoops, sometimes just for show. The C-pillar fuel fillers that look so cool, fake on most cars. It was Hollywood smoke and mirrors at its finest. Foose essentially created a greatest hits album of muscle car design elements, threw them all together, and somehow made it work. The result was so convincing that an entire generation of car enthusiasts grew up thinking this was what a real Shelby GT500 looked like. Number 17, they built 11 or 12 cars, and nobody can agree on the exact number. How many Eleanors were actually built for the film? Good question, even the experts can't agree. Some sources say 11, others insist it was 12. The confusion stems from how you define built. Some were complete cars, others were barely rolling shells. Cinema Vehicle Services created a small army of Eleanors, each with a specific purpose. But the record keeping was apparently as chaotic as the movie's chase scenes. What we do know is that only 3 were hero cars, the ones used for close-ups and scenes with the actors. The rest were stunt doubles, crash dummies, and background extras. Some were built to be destroyed, others were barely cars at all, just shells on wheels for distant shots. The ambiguity adds to the mystique. It's like trying to count how many Stradivarius violins exist. Everyone has a different number, and they're all somehow correct. This confusion has led to numerous cars being claimed as original Eleanors over the years, with varying degrees of authenticity. Number 16. The engines were disappointingly ordinary. Ready for a letdown? Most Eleanor cars packed 3 51 cubic inch Ford crate engines, not 4 28s, not 4 27 Cobras. Just regular 5.8 liter V8s you could order from a catalog. For a car that was supposed to be the unicorn of the film, the crown jewel that Memphis Reigns needed to steal, the engine choice was surprisingly pedestrian. These weren't even special high-performance versions, just standard crate motors. Reliable? Sure. Exciting? Not really. It's like finding out Thor's hammer is made of aluminum instead of mythical Uru metal. The movie made it seem like Eleanor had some exotic power plant that could outrun anything. In reality, a modern V6 Camry could probably keep up. But here's the genius part. It didn't matter. The camera work, the sound design, and the movie magic made these ordinary engines seem extraordinary. They added supercharger whine in post-production. They dubbed in more aggressive exhaust notes. By the time it hit theaters, Eleanor sounded like she had 1,000 horsepower under the hood. Number 15. The Nitrous system was Hollywood fantasy. Remember that dramatic "Go Baby Go" button? The one that supposedly activated the nitrous oxide system for that extra burst of speed? Total Hollywood fabrication. Well, mostly. Some cars had nitrous systems installed, or at least the appearance of them. But the way it worked in the movie? Pure fantasy. Real nitrous systems don't work like video game power-ups. You don't just push a button and suddenly gain 50 miles per hour. But the film treated it like Eleanor had a rocket booster. The famous shift knob with the button became an iconic piece of movie history. Replica builders now include it as standard equipment. Everyone wants that "Go Baby Go" moment. The funny thing is, most of the speed scenes were filmed at normal speeds and then sped up in editing. When Eleanor hits the nitrous in the movie, it's often just clever camera work and post-production magic. The car wasn't actually going any faster, but man, did it look cool. That button became so legendary that people install fake ones in their cars just for the aesthetic. Number 14, the paint job created. An entire industry pepper gray with twin black racing stripes. Before the movie, this wasn't a particularly special color combination. After, it became the definitive Eleanor look. The specific shade of gray wasn't even a factory Mustang color. It was custom mixed for the film. But within months of the movie's release, paint shops across America were getting requests for Eleanor Gray. The combination was so perfect it seemed obvious in retrospect. The gray was aggressive, but not too flashy. The black stripes added just enough racing heritage. Together, they created instant recognition. You could spot an Eleanor replica from a mile away. This paint scheme literally launched thousands of tribute builds. Custom shops started offering Eleanor packages that were basically just this paint job on any 67 Mustang. Some shops made their entire business model around recreating this exact look. The weird part? The color looks different in almost every scene of the movie. Lighting, film stock, and post-production color grading mean Eleanor appears anywhere from dark charcoal to light silver, depending on the shot. Number 13. Some cars were built specifically to be destroyed. Here's something that'll make classic car lovers cringe. Several Eleanors were built as sacrificial lambs. Their entire purpose? To be wrecked, crashed, and destroyed on camera. These weren't just stunt cars. They were kamikaze cars, built to die. CVS constructed them with the bare minimum needed to look good on camera for their death scenes. Cheaper engines, basic interiors, just enough structural integrity to survive until their big moment. One was built specifically for the famous jump sequence, another for crash scenes. Some barely ran at all, they just needed to roll downhill or be pulled by cables. It's automotive snuff film territory. Imagine building a beautiful car knowing its destiny is a concrete wall at 60 miles per hour. The builders literally created art designed for destruction. The psychology of it is fascinating. These builders put just as much work into the doomed cars as the heroes, knowing they'd end up as scrap metal. It's like Tibetan monks creating sand mandalas, knowing they'll sweep them away when finished. Number 12. Wirework and CGI made the stunts possible. Think all those incredible stunts were pure driving skill? Think again. The famous jump scene where Eleanor flies through the air? Wires, lots of wires, and computer graphics. This was 2000, remember? CGI was becoming Hollywood's favorite toy. The production team used a combination of practical effects and digital enhancement. Cars were suspended by cables for certain shots. Others were completely computer-generated for moments too dangerous or impossible to film practically. The final chase sequence is a masterclass in mixing real and fake. Some shots are genuine stunt driving, others are models, some are entirely digital. The editors wove them together so seamlessly that most viewers never notice. But here's the really weird part. The wire work sometimes went wrong, cars would spin unexpectedly, cables would snap, one stunt car ended up in a completely different trajectory than planned. Some of these accidents made it into the final film because they looked more dramatic than what was scripted. The blend of practical and digital effects created stunts that looked real but were physically impossible. Number 11. The interior featured bizarre. Custom elements. Step inside Eleanor and you'd find a cockpit that was part Mustang, part spaceship, part joke. That famous Go Baby Go shift knob wasn't the only weird addition. The builders added switches and buttons that did absolutely nothing. They were just there to look cool on camera. Flip switches labeled for systems that didn't exist, gauges that weren't connected to anything, warning lights that were just LED decorations. It was like a 12-year-old's fantasy of what a race car interior should look like. Some Eleanors had completely different interiors depending on what was being filmed. Close-up cars had detailed, finished interiors. Stunt cars might have racing seats and roll cages. Background cars sometimes had no interior at all, just black cloth over the windows. The continuity department must have had nightmares trying to keep track. One scene might show leather seats, the next racing buckets, then back to leather. Most viewers never noticed because the action moved so fast. The weird modifications became part of Eleanor lore. Now, replica builders include non-functional switches just to match the movie car. People are literally installing useless buttons for authenticity. Number 10. One Eleanor crashed into a light pole during filming and injured someone. Here's a dark fact the studio doesn't advertise. During production, one of the stunt Eleanors lost control and slammed into a light pole. Someone got hurt, and they used the footage in the final film. Think about that. You're watching the movie, enjoying the chase scene, and suddenly you're witnessing a real accident, real danger, real consequences. The production team's decision to include the crash footage is ethically questionable at best, but from a filmmaking perspective, it added authenticity you can't fake. The crash looked real because it was real. The danger felt genuine because someone actually got injured. Hollywood has a long history of using accident footage when it looks good on camera, but knowing someone was hurt in that specific shot adds an uncomfortable layer to watching the film. It's like those old westerns where horses were actually injured during filming. We watch it differently now, knowing the cost. The incident also highlights how dangerous these productions were. Stunt drivers were pushing replica muscle cars to their limits on public streets. The margin for error was razor thin. Number 9. Southern California was scoured for donor cars. The Great Mustang Hunt of 1999 was real. CVS sent scouts across Southern California looking for 1967 Mustang fastbacks. They needed bodies, lots of bodies, and they weren't picky. Rust buckets. They'd take them. Non-running. Perfect. That legendary 289 with more leaks than a government whistleblower? Sold. They were buying Mustangs like doomsday preppers buy canned goods. The search became increasingly desperate as production deadlines loomed. They paid premium prices for cars that were barely worth scrap value. Some owners made more selling their rusty Mustangs to the movie production than the cars were actually worth. One seller reportedly couldn't believe anyone would pay actual money for his broken down fastback. The car hadn't run in years. The floor was rusted through, but CVS handed over cash and hauled it away. Within weeks, that rust bucket was transformed into a movie star. The irony is delicious. Cars that were headed for the crusher became part of cinema history. Some owner's abandoned project car is now worth hundreds of thousands because it was Eleanor, number 7, or whatever. Number 8. Legal battles. Made Eleanor more famous than the movie. The Eleanor copyright saga is stranger than fiction. The car became subject to more legal battles than most human celebrities. Lawsuits flying left and right, cease and desist orders, YouTube videos pulled down, its automotive litigation gone. Wild. The company that owns the Eleanor trademark has been aggressively defending it for years. They've sued replica builders. They've gone after small shops. They've even targeted individuals who built Eleanor replicas in their garage and posted about it online. One famous case involved a YouTube channel that had to surrender their Eleanor build to avoid legal action. The car they spent years building was literally taken away because of copyright claims. The whole situation created a chilling effect in the replica community. Builders started calling their creations definitely not Eleanor, or Gray Mustang with stripes. The legal battles actually made Eleanor more famous. Every lawsuit generated headlines, every cease and desist order created controversy. the Streisand effect in full force. The car became more legendary because it was forbidden fruit. The weird part? The legal protection might actually expire someday and suddenly everyone will be free to build Eleanors. Imagine the flood of replicas that would hit the market. Number 7. The jump scene used multiple filming techniques. That incredible jump where Eleanor flies through the intersection, it's a Frankenstein's monster of filmmaking techniques. They used a real car, then a model, then CGI, then wire work, all stitched together in editing. The main jump was performed by a real Eleanor, but it was assisted by a massive ramp and careful calculations. The car was also lightened significantly. They removed the engine, transmission, anything heavy. It was basically a shell with just enough weight to look right on camera. But that wasn't enough. They also filmed a scale model for certain angles. The model work is so good that most people can't spot it. The lighting, the motion blur, the camera angles all hide the deception. Then came the digital touches. CGI artists extended the jump, added sparks, enhanced the landing. They painted out safety equipment and wires. They even adjusted the car's trajectory in post-production to make it look more dramatic. The result is a jump that looks both real and impossible. It's too perfect to be genuine, but too detailed to be fake. This Frankenstein approach became the template for modern action films. Number 6. The Shelby Truss challenged Eleanor's legitimacy. Carroll Shelby's estate wasn't happy about Eleanor claiming to be a Shelby. They argued these movie cars had nothing to do with genuine Shelby vehicles. It was brand dilution at its finest. The truss position was understandable. Eleanor looked nothing like a real 1967 GT500. The body was different, the stance was different. Everything that made a Shelby special was missing or modified. They didn't want movie replicas diminishing the real Shelby legacy. But the challenge created a weird paradox. By fighting Eleanor's connection to Shelby, they actually made Eleanor more distinct, more special. It became its own thing entirely, separate from the Shelby lineage. The legal arguments got philosophical. What makes a Shelby a Shelby? Is it the name, the builder, the design, the heritage? Eleanor existed in a gray area between tribute and transformation. The dispute highlighted how movie cars occupy a strange space in automotive culture. They're not quite replicas, not quite customs, not quite authentic. They're something else entirely. The Shelby Truss challenge ultimately failed to stop Eleanor's cultural impact. If anything, it made Eleanor more legendary as a rebel that didn't need Shelby's blessing. Number 5. The Restomod movement exploded. Because of Eleanor didn't just influence car culture, she basically created an entire industry. The Restomod movement, classic cars with modern modifications, exploded after the movie's release. Suddenly everyone wanted their classic car to perform like a modern one. Before Eleanor, most classic car enthusiasts were purists, original parts only, factory specifications, matching numbers. Eleanor said, forget all that. Make it better, make it faster, make it yours. The floodgates opened, shops started specializing in modernizing classics, modern engines in vintage bodies, contemporary suspensions under classic sheet metal, air conditioning, power steering, modern brakes, all the conveniences wrapped in nostalgic packaging. Eleanor proved you could improve on history without destroying it. The movement generated controversy. Purists called it sacrilege. Modernizers called it evolution. The debate rages on, but the market has spoken. Restomod cars now sell for more than original restored versions. Eleanor's influence extends beyond Mustangs. Every classic car brand now has Restomod versions. Corvettes, Camaros, Chargers, they all got the Eleanor treatment. Modern performance wrapped in vintage style. The weird part is that Eleanor herself wasn't even a true Restomod. She was a replica pretending to be a Restomod, a copy of something that never existed, influencing real cars to become something new. Number 4. The pepper gray paint appears different in every scene. Watch Gone in 60 seconds carefully and you'll notice something strange. Eleanor's color changes constantly. Sometimes she's dark charcoal, other times she's almost silver. It's not your TV, it's movie magic gone weird. The inconsistency stems from multiple factors. Different film stock was used for various scenes. Lighting conditions varied from shot to shot. Some scenes were filmed at night, others in broad daylight. Each Eleanor was painted slightly differently. Post-production color grading altered the appearance further. Digital enhancement made some scenes pop while others were muted. The editors were more concerned with mood than color consistency. The result? Eleanor is basically a chameleon. She's whatever shade of gray the scene requires, dark and menacing for night chases, lighter and more visible for daylight shots, sometimes almost blue, sometimes nearly black. This Inconsistency has driven replica builders crazy for 20 years. What color is Eleanor really? Nobody knows. Everyone's Eleanor replica is the right color because there is no right color. Paint shops have dozens of formulas all claiming to be screen-accurate pepper gray. The funny thing, the inconsistency makes Eleanor more iconic. She's not just one car with one color. She's every shade of gray, a automotive Rorschach test that looks different to everyone. Number 3. Many modern Eleanors are more authentic than the originals. Here's a mind bender. Today's Eleanor replicas are often more authentic than the actual movie cars. They're better built, more consistent, and more true to the Eleanor ideal than the rushed production cars ever were. Modern builders have 20 years of hindsight. They know what worked and what didn't. They can fix the movie car's flaws. Better engines, functional side exhausts, working fuel fillers, all the stuff that was fake on the original cars. Technology has also improved dramatically. Modern builders use CAD design, CNC machining, and advanced materials the original builders could only dream about. The body kits fit better, the paint is more durable, everything is just better. Some replica builders have become so skilled that their Eleanors are considered superior to the surviving movie cars. They've perfected what cinema vehicle services rush to create. They've made the dream real. It's like cover bands that sound better than the original artist. They've had time to study, practice, and perfect what was originally improvised. The movie cars were built for a few months of filming. Modern replicas are built to last forever. The weird part? These perfect replicas are somehow less valuable than the flawed originals. The imperfections make the movie cars special. Number 2, the $850,000 auction sale. Changed everything. In 2020, one of the original Eleanor cars sold at auction for $852,500. That number sent shockwaves through the automotive world. A fake Shelby selling for more than real ones. The world had gone mad, but the sale validated Eleanor's cultural importance. This wasn't just a movie prop, it was a piece of American pop culture history. The price reflected not the car's mechanical value, but its emotional and cultural significance. The sale also triggered a gold rush. Suddenly everyone claimed to have an original Eleanor. Cars with dubious provenance started appearing at auctions. Certificates of authenticity became as common as parking tickets. The high price also affected the replica market. If an original was worth $800,000, surely a good replica was worth $50,000. $100,000? Builders started charging premium prices for Eleanor replicas. The auction changed how people viewed movie cars in general. They weren't just props anymore. They were investments, cultural artifacts, rolling, sculptures worth more than actual art. The buyer of that $800,000 Eleanor wasn't just buying a car. They were buying a piece of Hollywood history, a cultural icon, and probably the most expensive fake Shelby ever sold. Number 1, Eleanor was never really a character, until the lawyers said so. Here's the ultimate weird fact: Eleanor wasn't conceived as a copyrighted character initially. She became one retroactively when lawyers realized they could monetize the concept. It's revisionist history at its finest. The original Gone in 60 Seconds from 1974 had an Eleanor too, but she was just a car with a nickname. No personality, no character traits, just a yellow Mustang that needed stealing. The 2000 remake gave Eleanor more personality, but even then it was subtle. The copyright claims came later. When replica builders started making money, suddenly, Eleanor was a fully fledged character with intellectual property rights. The lawyers argued that Eleanor had distinctive characteristics that made her more than just a car. The paint, the body kit, the overall appearance. Together, they created a copyrightable character, like Mickey Mouse or Superman, but with wheels. This legal maneuvering created a bizarre precedent. Can any modified car become a copyrighted character? What about the Batmobile? The DeLorean from Back to the Future? Where does the line get drawn? The court sided with the copyright holders, but the logic is still debated. How can a car be a character when it doesn't speak, doesn't have emotions, and is literally an inanimate object? The whole situation represents everything weird about modern intellectual property law. A car that wasn't real, playing a character that didn't exist, becoming legally protected as something it never claimed to be. Eleanor transcended being just a movie car. She became a legal entity, a cultural phenomenon, and somehow more real than the genuine article she was pretending to be. And there you have it, 20 weird facts about the 1967 Shelby GT500 Eleanor that prove sometimes the fake can become more real than the truth. From legal battles to Hollywood magic, from worthless donor cars to million-dollar auctions, Eleanor's story is stranger than any movie plot. Which fact surprised you the most? And did you know Eleanor wasn't even a real Shelby before watching this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into automotive history's strangest icon, hit that like button and subscribe for more videos uncovering the weird truth behind famous cars. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.